Welcome to Axium Portal Software. This video is being created to show you how to add a timer to your touchscreen or to your program. Some people actually want to add a sleep timer like they have on their television, where they could push a button and their system will set off their house system for them in 30 minutes, 90 minutes, or whatever you actually set that to. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to do that. First thing you're going to do is go ahead and open up your RD1. You want to add an RD1 to your system here. This is required to set up a timer. We also do have an AX800. We're going to be controlling the AX800 through our system. The way we're going to do that, there's actually an IR emitter that we're going to take, and we're going to put an IR emitter on the front of our Axium 800 coming out of one of the inputs on the RD1. So here we have RD1. What we did, we went to our command gallery. We selected all from the IR library of the Axium. So in other words, I'll go backwards a little bit. If we go to the Axiom, do the drop down here, we can choose IR commands for the Axiom itself. In this case, we choose all zones. So in this case, we're going to choose just an off command. So this off command we're taking, and we're simply dropping right here on the IR output of the RD1. That way, when we do hit that, that's the off command that we get. Now you can, if you want to, take all of the commands or any commands that you actually want to set up on that timer, because it doesn't have to be an off command. It could be pretty much anything you want to do. It could be an on command as well to go ahead and turn things on by building a macro and dropping in. But for this exercise, we're simply going to do a simple off command. Okay, so the first thing you do after adding your emitter to your system, go ahead and open up your RD1. On your RD1, if you go over to the first line here, you have triggers. What we're going to do is open up a new trigger, and we're going to open up a schedule event trigger. Once you do that, first thing you want to do is make sure it's enabled. You can go ahead and click the enable. If it's not enabled there, you want to go ahead and have that enabled. We don't need for this to repeat because it simply resets itself after every time. Now here in the events, in the scheduled events, you can choose how you want the timer to actually work. Okay, you can choose a time and a date to do an action with our system. In this case, we're simply going to do the drop down here. You can set things for sunrise, sunset. This would be good for sprinklers or anything like that. But in this case, we're simply going to do a timer. Okay, so we're going to hit the time drop down, go to timer here. Here, we're going to choose how long we want before our action takes place. In this case, we're going to use seconds, but in most cases, you're going to go ahead and you're going to use minutes, and you're going to do something like perhaps 30 minutes, and that would be a 30-minute timer. But for our exercise, so we can actually see it happen, we're just going to go ahead and set that for just 10 seconds here. So this could be a 10-second timer, it could be hours, it could be minutes. In this case, we're going to do seconds. We want this to work every day of the week. So we're going to go ahead and leave every day check there. Now what we do, we need an action. In other words, after this timer is hit, after 10 seconds, what is our action going to be? In this case, we're just going to use an off command, because remember, we went to the IR here. We're going to click that. Over here, we're going to grab this command, which is an off command. Go ahead and drop that in. That's going to be our action. Next thing we need to do is go ahead and make sure that that's enabled. The way you do that is you're going to create an enable trigger. In this case, our enable trigger is 10 seconds after we push this button. And what button am I referring to? We're going to go ahead to our Samsung tablet here. Go ahead and open that up. Lock that in here. Now, first thing we're going to do, I've already created a 60-minute and a 30-minute button on here, but we're going to create a 10-second button. So we're going to go ahead to our gallery here, grab another button, go ahead and drop that in. I'm going to right-click on that button, and I'm going to rename that button. I'm going to call it a 10-second timer. Okay, so our 10-second timer button, we're simply going to go ahead and go over here and grab the command. And our command is after 10 seconds. We'll go ahead and we'll grab that and drop that on that button. Okay, and if you double-click on that button, you can see the properties. And one thing we want to do in properties is go ahead to the class right here. And what we need to do is add a class to that. And what we want our class to be is, if you do the drop down here, you go ahead to applets. You go ahead to schedule. Okay? And from the schedule, we want to go ahead and go down and have it enable and disable. That way, when we push this button, it's going to enable or disable this command right here. Okay, and after that's done, all we need to do is upload this to our R1. And of course, you're going to make sure that the mini USB is in the back of the R1. Of course, in the future, you won't have to do that. It will work through the Ethernet. But for now, you can go ahead and plug that in. We're going to go ahead and upload this project to our R1. And after that uploads there, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and upload that to our touch screen. In this case, we're using the Galaxy, the Samsung Galaxy. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and upload that project to our Samsung Galaxy. Go ahead and click upload there. And on our Galaxy, you can see the project. We'll go ahead and upload to there. Okay, once that's uploaded on there, here's our 10-second button that we just put there. I did these buttons earlier, but here's our 10-second button. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add some music to that, add a source. In this case, we're going to go ahead and choose Pandora. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose maybe Beyonce, and we're going to play her.
Welcome Beyonce, Lativia, Nina, Nikki, Kelly, and Ashley, the hip-hop rapping Girls Time.
Okay, so if we want to use our button, what we'll do, we'll go ahead, go back to our home page, and we'll go ahead and hit our timer button. Now in 10 seconds, this should shut our system off. And there we go. Okay, so what we did set up our 10-second timer button. If you go ahead and we're going to do that one more time, we'll go ahead and turn that back on there. Once again, you go ahead, hit your 10-second timer button, and in 10 seconds, it should shut off. Okay, now you can set this timer, could be set for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever you choose to. What we'll do now, we'll go ahead back and we'll set up another timer. And this time we're going to go ahead and set up our 60-minute timer. And you can have multiple timers on your system. Just make sure you always create different buttons to associate them with. So here we're going to go ahead, we're going to create a 30-minute timer. Once again, you go ahead, you open up schedule here. A time schedule. We're going to go ahead and change that to timer as opposed to time. In this case, we're going to go ahead and make this a 30-minute. Put in 30, and we're going to go ahead and make this not seconds, but minutes. Okay, the process is exactly the same. We're actually just going to use the same command that's already in our system. We're going to go ahead and drag that right over here, and that's our off. Remember, this doesn't have to be off. It could be any command that you want. You could turn your system, have your system turn on in 30 minutes, or turn off certain aspects of your project in 30 minutes. And if you want to do something like that, you would simply create a macro. Go up here, create a macro, put multiple commands in there, and drop that in the same manner right to here. Once again, we're going to go ahead and create, make sure it's enabled. And this is what's going to enable our system here. Go ahead and grab that and drop that right on the button that you create on your touchscreen. Okay, click on that button. Make sure you go over here to the class. Make sure you have that to the applet events enabled. Okay, and once that's enabled, that's ready to go. Upload your R1, upload to your Galaxy or whichever touchscreen you're using or mobile device that you're using. And now we have our 30-minute timer. So here's our 10-second timer, and here's our 30-minute timer. Of course, if I just go back to music on here, turn it on. So if I went back to my home screen here, in this case, if I hit that 30-minute timer, it would do the same thing. In 30 minutes, it would turn my system on, or 90 minutes. You can create these timers as you need it. We'll just hit our 10-second timer just to play with it. And there you go. 10 seconds later, it's off. And that's how you would create a timer for your touchscreen for your Android or mobile devices.